Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the MineRP podcast, the podcast where we discuss everything related to mining and the digitalization of the mining industry, and specifically how fast things are happening, hence the name MineRP. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate you listening and downloading the podcast or listening to it. Just to remind you, you can do that online on your favorite podcast app, or you can go straight to the MineRP.com website and find it there as well. Today, we've got a few very interesting guests, and let's start by introducing the topic. We are going to talk a little bit about our partnership with a company called VBKOM, and we've got their CEO, Manie Kriel, with us. And also in the discussion with us is Mike Woodall, mining executive at MineRP and responsible for all things mining standards wise. And lastly, John Guy Taylor. John Guy Taylor is also a mining executive with MineRP. I'll let you jump in, Manie, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. You're a mining engineer, aren't you?
Yeah, MP, thank you so much, and thanks for the invite. Looking forward to have the chat with you. So yeah, indeed, I'm a mining engineer, but I want to take it back a couple of steps. So I think I want to share with you that I was actually born in Langlaagte, where gold was discovered all those years back. So I'm a Joburg city boy, born and bred. Did my schooling in Johannesburg, and then ultimately decided at some point that I need to do something with my life, and decided to enroll with the University of Pretoria and study mining engineering. But interestingly enough, I was fortunate. I was invited for a scholarship interview by Anglo American, and at that interview, I vividly remember them asking me, why mining engineering? And my response was simply, I know my nature, and I've always known I'll either become an astronaut or I'll join Jacques Cousteau with his deep sea exploration programs. But probably I'm also a realist and realized, living in South Africa, that deep level mining is probably where I will have the easiest access to carve out a career. So yeah, that's where it all started. I started at the deep level mines, Western Deeps, Ball Reefs, President Brandt. So that's where all mining started for me. I'm very privileged to have been part of that phase of mining in South Africa. You will recall it was the days where first and foremost the golf course was built, and then the mine came. So that was an era that I often longed for. But long story short, yes, I'm a mining engineer. At some point, did my turn in the diamond industry. Also, had a stint in Germany, where I was privileged to get some exposure to plant and beneficiation and project management. And long story short, about 12, 13 years back, decided I need a second chapter of my career and started consulting. And that's where we started VBKOM as a bunch of mining engineers. Yes, that's it.
So we'll get a bit more background on VBKOM soon. Mike Woodall, you've been on the MineRP podcast before, but why don't you just tell our listeners again a little bit more about yourself?
Okay, very quickly. I am also a mining engineer, 25 years on production and projects in the Australian and South African mining environments. And I joined GMSI as it was then in its early days, which today has become MineRP. So my current role is Director Mining Standards. I end up explaining mining to people, traditionally both mining and non-mining people, because our experience shows we don't perhaps understand our business quite as well as we should.
I always recall MineRP prides itself in having IT savvy mining people and mining savvy IT people.
And it's a great combination. It works for us.
Yeah, and a lot of that is your fault, because you do translate mining into IT for a lot of people at MineRP and at our clients. Well done for that.
Thank you.
John Guy Taylor, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
Thanks, MP. Yeah, and thanks for the introductions. So, yeah, I am a mining engineer as well from the Camborne School of Mines in the UK. Also, currently a member of the South African Institute of Mining and Metallurgy. Got into mining as a learner official, actually, before I went to varsity, and then started my experience in the Zimbabwe operations for Anglo-American Bandura Nickel Corporation, as well as having stint in Konkola copper mines in Zambia, before coming down to South Africa, where I was first of all in the Anglo-American Corporation in South Africa, before starting my own business. So I've got a lot of experience, operational, technical, leadership experience with those organizations before I started my consulting business, and specializing there in conceptual pre-feasibility and feasibility studies. Also involved a lot in short, medium, long-term and life of mine planning, but particularly in, first of all, massive hard rock mines, where a lot of mechanization, but also in the platinum with more the narrow vein mining, underground mining. Although I do have experience both in open pit and underground, as well as various commodities ranging from base metals, platinum, iron ore, etc. So yeah.
As I listen to you there, I always wonder, where is the ideal space for an engineer, in the planning world or on the actual mine where the mining gets done? And I guess it's a little bit the same kind of question, is it better to teach than to do? And
well, I think you need to have operational experience before you get into the technical. But right. I decided I would go the technical route initially. So, my strengths was in terms of the planning side of things, and I decided to do that, but also within a leadership role in those areas.
Yeah. Manie, that's maybe a good segue back to you and to VBKOM. You said that after a fairly distinguished career in the mining industry, you wanted to get a second bite at the apple, so to say, and start a new career. But you could only do that and start VBKOM with your partners because there's a depth of experience already there that you could then take back to the market. So tell us a little bit more about VBKOM and why the name VBKOM, by the way, and so on.
Yeah, so just the name. When we decided to start the business, we were looking for all the creative mining names like Optic Pit and Optimized, but only to realize that all the good names have been taken. So for the 5 founding members, we'll take the letter of the surname. So it's really just the 5 founding members' surnames that made up VBKOM.
So that's the engineering version of creativity.
Exactly, and in consulting, you will be amiss if you don't have a 3-letter acronym. So we take it a step further by adding another 2 to the 3-letter acronym. So yeah, that's been fun. 5 mining engineers joined forces in 2008 to start the business, but it also started with a lot of planning beforehand. As engineers, we like to analyze things, we like to plan things thoroughly, and similarly, we spent about 6 months of business planning to form the business. Yes, with a strong initial intent of providing technical mining engineering services, consulting services, the planning, the feasibility type work, but it was never the intention to just remain that. So we always had the vision of actually serving the whole value chain in mining. So from geology all the way to the market, and that was always the intention, and we're making some good progress in that space.
Okay.
So at this stage, where VBKOM is at right now, we do provide geology services, mining engineering services, metallurgy services, and then also very importantly across the silos, the technical silos, we have a strong project management functionality, And then also a strong team of industrial engineers that sews together all the processes, all the way from early exploration to the final product being delivered in China. So that's in a nutshell the service offerings, but with a very clear focus on technical and also business. So we always combine the two. It's not a matter of just providing the best technical solution. It's also important for VBKOM to understand the business, and at the end of the day, all our solutions that we do provide our clients must make business sense.
Yeah. So speaking of business sense, why partner with a software company? I mean, we are talking a little bit about our partnerships, and I'm going to ask Mike Woodall to tell us a little bit more about the importance of partnerships to MineRP. But what made you think of talking to a software company, not necessarily mining technical only?
Yeah, MP, I think that is a very, very good question, because we always pride ourselves as VBKOM to say, for us, it's not necessarily about the tools, but it's all about the engineering from where we sit. So we put a large emphasis on the engineering and the science, but every good engineer needs a great toolkit and needs the best tools to provide the best solutions. And we're constantly in that space seeking for the best possible tools that we can utilize and I like your phrase of warp speed, and that's become a reality. We know if we are to remain relevant in the consulting to walk ahead and provide our clients with expert solutions, we cannot do it at a snail's pace that was the norm 6 and 7 years back. Every year the standard is lifted, the quality needs to be right, it needs to be cutting edge, and we need to add speed on that. And certainly in terms of our relationship with MineRP, that is absolutely what we see. We see a company that is taking the lead in your industry, and we'd like to be part of that success story. We have in discussion with MineRP for many years. Yes. And what we also like is, I think, the total solution. I touched on VBKOM looking at the whole value chain and the silos of the technical disciplines. But what we find is quite often that these silos operate as silos, and a lot of the opportunities between the silos go amiss. So we like to attack those areas, and I believe your platform and your approach to data of one version of the truth of data management is strategically absolutely where this industry is going, and we'd like to be part of aligning with that. VBKOM is absolutely all about long-term relationships, and we're hopeful that this partnership can come long-term, mutually beneficial, where we can assist with some engineering and geology inputs and assistance, whilst you provide the top-in-class tools.
That's right. That's excellent. Mike, on that topic then, the ecosystems of partners that exist in the market out there also reflects onto the MineRP's business strategy, doesn't it? And so why are partnerships so important to us?
Sure, and Manie's touched on it. He's quite right. Many people have the aspiration to talk to the enterprise of mining across all the disciplines, technical and non-technical. And no one vendor can do that. Once you've admitted that, then you're left with a choice. Well, either I'm going to tackle the industry based on what I can do, or I'm going to look for partners to fill in those gaps. And that has been MineRP's approach. We've got a streamlined 3-tier partner framework where we have strategic partners, people or companies that have global reach. They talk to the boardrooms, the CIOs and CFOs. We traditionally came from the pure mining technical area. We have expanded, but we don't claim to do it all. And so the strategic partners are the ones who are going to change the industry. We have collaboration partners, which assumes that we have a joint client that needs us to work together on their behalf. And at the bottom of the scale is the engagement partner, where we're not even sure what we can offer. But it is an opportunity then to explore what we each are good at and come up with something that offers a bit of synergy to the marketplace together that neither of us can do alone. And that's the conversations we've been having with VBKOM.
So, John Guy, you've been working a lot with VBKOM to understand exactly what Mike has just said, or to help guide this exploration process of what is it, not only that we could do together, because obviously many companies could do many things together, but what is uniquely valuable that the two companies could do together. So you want to tell us a little bit more about the outcome of, as we refer to it, that certified value proposition discovery process, and what is it that this partnership offers that's unique?
Exactly. So as has been alluded to, it's really utilizing our various strengths and skills and technologies, etc., to complement each other. In particular, we've pursued several CVPs, as you call them, certified value propositions, to be able to take to the market. In particular, we have an iron ore opportunity where we're looking at an optimization that involves our sister company or one of our subsidiaries, Elitica. And the current as-is situation there is that the iron ore mine, which is in the Northern Cape, supplying iron ore to the local market only currently. And really it's profitable only very marginally at this point in time. Whereas they have a fairly extensive ore resource, and there is an opportunity to spend some capital to establish the export market for them. And that way they would be able to extend the life of mine. So we're looking there, and we're proposing at looking at optimizing by looking at various scenarios, and also what are the levers that we believe would be able to demonstrate value to that operation. Maybe it's spending capital to bring in a rail link. Maybe it's also spending capital to expand the plant or build a different module on the plant, different type of plant. But we believe with doing that, like I said, extending the life of mine, which has a high potential, as from work that has already been done by VBKOM there in terms of their pit optimization study, generating additional profit, at least 4 times that profit.
And Manie, on your side, then you are taking the outputs of the existing studies that has been done and applying some optimization technologies from MineRP and skills to come up with options for optimizing the outcome.
Absolutely, MP. So yeah, we have a long, deep history in iron ore mining. So this opportunity is an iron ore opportunity. So we have a deep understanding of all the potential options out there. And sometimes it's difficult because it's often very complex to model the various scenarios. And we're looking forward to accessing the Elitica platform along with MineRP to see how best we can optimize the various options, but also present it to the client in a way that's understandable, to get the buy-in. Quite often, the iron ore business is complex with a lot of variables, and it's quite difficult to actually come to a solution that one can explain and the client buys into. And that's part of the journey that we're on here, is to unlock significant value. And that's what we're all about, is not just incremental. Sometimes it's very appropriate to just do the incremental changes and improvements. But what we see with this opportunity is maybe something much more significant than an incremental change.
Yeah. Just by the way, for our listeners, Andri, our podcast producer, will also post a few links to other podcasts, other episodes where we've actually spoken with the Elitica team, who have put together this platform that connects the MineRP information base with the optimization engines that are available in Retica. So if you want to learn more about that, then that's your option.
Manie, can I chip in there?
Yeah, go for it, Mike.
Is that it's a useful connection to make, because people use the term optimization to mean many different things. Sometimes even just the incremental work that Manie was just referring to. When we talk about optimization, we're talking about mathematical search engines. Not a lot of people can do that kind of work. And that's why we partnered with Elitica.
Thank you. Thank you for that perspective, Mike. And of course, that'll eventually go much further into the worlds of artificial intelligence and cognitive systems, as we are able to connect more and more of these systems continuously and automate the processes that Manie was talking about. These processes, of course, Manie, are some of the things that mines need to get fixed before they'll get value from any technology as well, isn't it? And that's another thing that I believe VBKOM does to help a mine to get a handle on their whole set of management processes, or else adding another piece of software really just adds more noise to the story, doesn't it?
Absolutely. MP, you make me think, when I was a general manager at one of the big diamond producers way back, that was in the sort of the early 2000s. I had the huge need to actually integrate a number of systems at the mine at the time. And we initiated a large project to do exactly that. And probably 2 years down the line of trying to do that, we realized that at that time we were not successful in achieving that. Fast forward 20 years where we now, I think what we see MineRP achieving is exactly that of introducing or incorporating various softwares, various systems onto one platform, so that we get to that point where you have one version of the truth, not just technical data, but also financial data and various other pieces of information that's integrated. And that's so great, because this is sort of a dream for me coming true. That and yes, the work still lies ahead. We will have to as VBKOM experience that and assist in refining that and rolling these things out on a practical level at the mines. But that certainly was a dream that I had 20 years back. Couldn't achieve it at the time, but I think with the progress in technology, the maturity of big data management happening as we speak, I think that goal is much more achievable right now, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, and this flows into operational readiness, making sure that the mine is ready to receive, adopt, and get value from whatever you put in there. Because whether it's a piece of physical plant that you implement or a piece of software, you really have to work with people in the end to make sure that this gets used and value emerges. Gentlemen, John Guy, you wanted to add something in there?
Yeah, we often refer to people, process, and technology. So in a technology company, it's not just about the technology, it's about the people and the processes, how those need to change. The people are actually adapting to the different changes in the processes, how they adopt those processes, how their lives change in terms of meetings, management routines, etc. So yeah, it's
and as a mining executive on these kinds of projects, your role entails kind of keeping the project aligned to mining, isn't it? I mean, to make sure that nobody leaves behind a system where the green button does what the green button's supposed to do, but we don't end up improving the grade or improving the tons or increasing the tons, whatever. Isn't it? That's your job, John, to make sure that.
So MineRP saw the need to bring in people like myself, mining executives, who have the practical and operational experience in the industry, but the main role really being to extract value from the technology and the projects that we actually execute and implement and put down. So that big part of that is how does the process change? Like I said, how do we actually adapt to that? And then how do we actually adopt the technology and working with the guys on the operations and on site within the projects to actually steer that and lead that.
Sounds very good. Gentlemen, we're out of time. We're not out of topics. We could sit and discuss this for many, many more hours, I'm sure.
We miners, we got lots of stories.
Yeah. Don't know it. But I do want to hear some personal stories, maybe to land this. We always ask our guests on the podcast to tell us a little bit more about what they're reading, what's on your bedside table. Mike, let's start with you.
Ish, you're going to catch me out this time. For several months, I have been reading a historical account of the voyages and travels. It comes in huge volumes. I'm up to volume 11. It started off about the year 600 and I'm up to about 1720. I'm finding it really, really interesting. It explains a lot about how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sounds great. John Guy.
I like thrillers and reading fiction novels, etc. Currently, I'm reading a book which is actually looking at prophetic insight into what happened with regards to the 9/11 and just the various things from scripture and what happened, in history and what led to this, which I find absolutely fascinating. But the other thing that I'm also finding fascinating at the moment is I'm watching a few World War II series on TV, and just how the world wars came about, and the behavior of people like Hitler, etc., which I find absolutely incredible and amazing.
Maybe your interest in the prophetic and your interest in schedule optimization and predictive analytics have some kind of joint nerve in your mind somewhere.
Yeah, go for it.
Manie, and on your side.
Oh, thanks, NP. I love you asking the question because that's one of the things I actually love doing is reading, and I find it difficult to focus on a single book at a time. So I always have a stack next to my bedside, and I pass the one from the one to the other, and chapter by chapter. What I'm reading at the moment is I'm busy with Simon Sinek's new one, the Infinite Game. Find it very fascinating. And then another one that's also currently, it's probably a year old. I bought it a year back when I actually met Peter Nell and the team in Canada at PDAC, but I picked it up there, and it's called The Future is Faster Than You Think. And it's written by Peter Diamandis. He's the founder of the Singularity University. Fascinating reading, and all about what we discussed today is technology and where that will take us in the near future and what's happening right now. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, the whole singularity talk. So we came from one, we're aiming towards becoming one. It's going to be a very interesting time going forward. Mike Woodall and John Guy Taylor and Manie Kriel from VBKOM, thank you so much for spending time on our podcast. We look forward to many more similar discussions and hope to have you back soon. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks very
Cheerio.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, MP.
Bye.